Adesso si è sentito? Hai visto? Sì, secondo me è proprio il programma sì, è proprio il programma di
Ma quindi lo possiamo chiudere?
conferenza che è problemato. Che io abbiamo provato e usciva, adesso il PC è uscito, quindi è proprio un problema.
Possiamo iniziare?
So hello everyone, and welcome in this next talk, next session on industry and stakeholders' vision on fashion towards future, sustainability and innovation. My name is Anas Anafi, I'm the curator of the Global Shapers Community, a community of the World Economic Forum, and I'm very pleased to moderate this session all together with Elena Ferrero, who are both here on stage, co-founder and CEO of Atelier Riforma, an innovative social startup in the field of circular fashion. So please, Elena. And Christopher Ercuri, I hope I pronounced it well, in Circular Economy Lab in Intesa San Paolo Innovation Center. So please, Christopher, join us. I think it's right there. And Paola Fontana, Senior Manager at Pointex, Textile Innovation Cluster from Vienna. So in the EU, the textiles and clothing sector is economically significant and can play a prominent role in the circular economy. So it comprises more than 160,000 companies and employs 1.5 million of people. So this is generating a turnover of 162 billion in 2019 and will generate way more in the next future. So I will start with some questions with our panelists that are here today with us. And I will start with Elena Ferrero, as I see here. Like, tell us more about Atelier Riforma. I see it's a great work you're doing, and I think that it's very important that you share that with people that are here with us. So please.
Thank you. Also for inviting me today. We are a social innovative startup that was born in 2020, and we are focused on circular economy applied to the fashion industry. Our business model evolved a lot in the years, but now we are focused on technology. So we are developing a technology for the sorting of textile waste, in particular post-consumer textile waste, so used quickly. This technology is based on artificial intelligence, and it is able to, from this picture of the garment and of the label, to extract all the information important for the recovery of the garments. So circular recovery of the garment, like reuse, recycling, or upcycling. And this sorting technology that we call Reform Circular, it is connected to our platform, a digital platform. It is B2B, so the companies, and it is aimed at matching the supply and demand of post-consumer textile waste in order to manage it in a proper way and to facilitate the meeting between the entities that deal with the collection of used clothes and with the circular fashion companies that are able to recover these used clothes. So, for example, second-hand shops or textile recycling companies or upcycling brands. So we provide this technology to all these entities in order to facilitate and to promote the circular economy.
Well, I think that's great, but another thing I want to ask you is how can enterprises prepare to reskill and prepare to a digital and green transition? You already talked about it in your speech, but I think it can be useful for everyone and for all the participants to know more about that.
Yes, of course, it is really a complex transition. I think that there are many ways to facilitate this transition towards a more digital and green way of producing clothes. One of the ways is surely to involve young people because young people are digital natives. They are trained or have a proficiency with digital and new technologies. But above all the young people are very interested and sensible to sustainability topics. So I think that can be a good investment for companies to involve young people, trained young people, of course. So it is a good way to do it. Another way can be open innovation, according to me. So the collaboration between the more structured and stable companies with growing projects, so startups, for example, or other projects that can bring innovation, can bring solutions that are more digital, technological, and sustainable. And this is, I think, a win-win collaboration, a way of collaborating because companies can innovate and be more green and digital. And startups can benefit from this collaboration with the more stable companies and lower the uncertainty of their business and also to attract more investment. So I think these are all ways to facilitate this transition.
So thank you very much. I see that also those challenges and opportunities call for more systemic solution in line with the European Green Deal. That is very important to underline. As talking about sustainability and about circular economy, I want to head to Christopher Ford, talking about the Circular Economy Lab for Intesa Sanpaolo. So please tell us more about the Circular Economy Lab and how you're pursuing the circular economy inside the world.
Thank you for the question, Anas. So the Circular Economy Lab, to start with, is a physical structure present in Milan. It's the Milan Employee Institute. And it has it's born in 2018 with the mission and the objective of helping actually companies, but also SMEs and small realities like startups to scale the implementation and the implementation of business models of circular economy. So, as Helena was saying before, open innovation is really core when a company wants to change its conventional business model to one with a circular economy. Circular economy. What we try to do is to put in contact to create this system that actually let the companies enter in contact with these startups, with these new technology makers, with these new enablers of circular economy system in order to help them accomplish this. So in the circular economy, what we actually do is we work on three main pillars. The first one that we also anticipate is very important is the topic of education. So companies need actually to understand what is circular economy because it's not sometimes maybe as easy as we think. Maybe a lot of them think about it in a certain way. Some think about it just about recycling. Some think about it as a sustainability approach. It's much above that, right? So what we try to do is to go and teach these companies, it's a big word, I mean, go and learn together with this company, make workshops, try to let them understand in their own core business what is circular economy, so they can understand also how it can benefit their own business strategically, and so they can move on saying the next step, okay, so how we can do it. And so from one side, we try to let them see what they can do, and from the other side, we try to help them on the base of how we can do it, so how to transform actually. And this through, for example, open innovation, we construct goals for startups, we construct initiatives that allow these companies to have a roadmap in the first place, understand where they need to arrive, and after that, enter in contact with these startups, with the enablers in general, and understand how to do. Circular Economy Lab is an initiative of the Business and Power Innovation Center and Carico Factory. Being part also of a larger group of a bank, we have also different structures that can help us also finance companies that want actually to implement this kind of project. At the Circular Economy Lab, we don't deal directly with finance, but everything is related. So finance can be considered, investment can be considered one of the enablers. At the Circular Economy Lab, we work from the innovation perspective that I just stated before.
That's great. As we see, business models are changing, and also integrated them with circular economy, it's not as easy as we think it is. So as you underlined before, so how can we reskill and help other companies, also small and medium enterprises, to enter the market and to be more circular and more sustainable?
Yeah, that's also very interesting because this represents one of the main obstacles that we see in the companies. Whether it's the cultural obstacle or whether it's really the know-how. So maybe sometimes there is the cultural openness, but there is not a real know-how. So there is the need really to reskill from different perspectives. I believe it's interesting, first of all, to acquire an open-mindedness in companies. Companies need to understand that the world is changing today faster than how it was changing before. Trends are running really fast, and companies, they need to understand the concept that if they don't change and adapt, they risk easily and fastly to become out of the market, out of the business. So once they understand that and they acquire the open-mindedness, I believe it's then easier to say, okay, so let's sit together, let's envision, let's brainstorm. And I believe everything has to go also upside up down, top down, as they say. So the strategic elements of the companies, the business plans need to reason also from a perspective of the circular economy is not just our sustainability branch. It's not just our sustainable department. It's not just useful to do a sustainable report and say how good for the environment we are. But they need to go from there and say, okay, the circular economy is a strategy that is going to make us better. It's a strategy that is going to impact our business in a positive way, also from an environmental point of view, but so much from the business perspective. And so, therefore, I'm going to implement models. I'm going to teach and reskill my management in order to understand how to grab the circular economy opportunities. And then from that point, it's just an easy way to go. So workshop, education, reskilling, bringing young and new blood, new talents, all that then becomes sequential. But I believe this is how it has to start.
Well, we're going to head back on that in some minutes, but before that, I want to let Paola Fontana, Senior Manager at Pointex Textile Innovation Cluster, talk about what is Polo Innovazione Tessile and what do you do in Biella?
Thank you for the question. Pointex is the Textile Innovation Cluster. We are basically an association of companies. We are based in Biella, not far from here, but our activities are members all over Europe, including in the Piedmont region. We were founded by our regional government, and we are still working with our regional government and with our own clusters based in our region, which are 6 other clusters. We cooperate them to help also our region for ST strategies. We work together. Also because the style is very vertical centered, so we need to work with other cluster, ICT, mechatronics, and so on, in this kind of cluster, which are very relevant also to our companies. We are around 100 companies, basically small and medium enterprises, but we also have large companies that are working with us, research center and association institutions. We are managing Magic Studio, which is an education center based in Vienna, which is a company I work for. And also we work for several kind of textiles. I mean, our companies are covering basically the complete value chain of textiles, and steel technology, which is a very important issue because companies can find several companies that are willing to work with them without traveling so much, even if they are open to go international and to work with companies also outside the Italy. This is what they usually do. We support companies for technology transfer, for internationalization. We have identified partners. We have projects, basically the same things that clusters are doing all over Europe. And we also have some projects, European projects. I will go into details also about the projects we are about to start now. And yes, what can I say about pointers? I think it's the basic things that I said.
That's great. I heard about like preparing for a digital transition. Do you want to tell us more about that and also about the projects you're involved in?
Yeah, yes, this is very important question, I think, because all of us are prepared to some kind of transition, and I fully agree with both of them said before. Listening also to the previous presentation of Christopher, I like to say that I fully agree with him because we have to face several transitions. We have to keep in mind that everything is changing. I mean, the production processes are changing, the way we use products is changing, the way we buy products is changing, the way we manage waste has to change. In 2025, we will have new rules, which will be mandatory rules for recycling and for collecting textile waste. So we have to prepare on these changes. And also we have to take into account that from a textile point of view, we are using huge amounts of resources, water, also energy, and some materials. So we also have to have clear in mind that we are working now in a linear value chain, but this linear value chain has to change into a circular one. So we have to face several changes. And some one way to work to help also companies in these changes is the European projects, for example, is one instance. For instance, one thing that we have to consider, not only for funding reason, but also for helping companies and supporting companies. Actually, we are partners of two European projects about circular economy. We are about to start. One is a more technical project, and another one is a project on education. The first one is Regio Granitex, which means regions for green textiles. And it is very related to what Elena was saying before, because the aim of the project is to change the way we are collecting textiles and to recover them and use them. And this is very important because it will be a huge project, 45 partners, so imagine. It will be
very huge project, I see.
Very challenging also for the coordinator. But yes, I'm really looking forward to starting this project because we will be clusters all over Europe, will be SMEs, we will have 27 SMEs, which will be partners for the project. And also we will involve other SMEs because there is a cascading funding mechanism to support companies, to give them money, which was quite appreciated by companies also in the previous calls because it is very easy. There are not many documents to be prepared, so it's really easy and fast for companies to get funding. And also we will coach companies, we will support them to help them to improve their technology. Our aim is to reach as many companies as possible and help them and spreading the technologies we are implementing, spreading all over Europe, avoiding duplication or other things that you know everyone all of us are talking about circular economy, but I think we avoid duplication and work together to be most proficient. And also from a practical point of view, I would like, because other companies, I don't think that these are the only ones to think in that way. Our companies are very practical. They say, okay, circular economy, sustainability, this is something all of us are talking about, but we want to be effective. We want to know how we can deal with this thing. We want to learn how like our companies can improve without any kind of greenwashing but work in an efficient way.
That's great. I see a great work coming from there. So we will head back to you in a while. Before that, I want to give the floor to Elena and on how COVID-19 affected this green and blue transition. So we have a green transition, but also a blue transition, and it's a digital transition. So how does COVID affected that, and how do you see the future? As the name of the panel is looking fashion for the future. How do you see that, and how you pursue it?
Yes, COVID impacted a lot on these topics. Uh, for us, for example, we were born during the pandemic, so we had already in mind the environment in which we were starting. Um, from my perspective, so from the perspective of management of waste, okay, textile waste, COVID impacted a lot on logistics. Also, waste has to move when it is blocked. You cannot recover in any way. So it goes to landfills and it cannot be recovered. So logistics are really a topic that was affected by the COVID. Another way COVID impacted was, of course, on the possibility to move, and this fostered a lot of the improve of digital commerce, so e-commerce, a lot of businesses, and this was from one side very important and useful because it is a push to innovate and to start also to a side business maybe and not traditional but on the internet. So in some way there are positive impact, in other way negative impact, but the thing is to take this situation and use it as an opportunity. So innovate through this problematic situation.
That's great. I see there is a great mindset. I win your mindset, and I'm really happy to hear that. So I want to head back to Christopher on how is access to finance to support the green transition of small and medium enterprises. You talked about it a little bit before. I want to get you deep on how you're helping them. If there is anyone here that can be helped, how you can help them also to access to finance to support them in these transitions.
Yeah, it's very, we go down to earth, we go to the straight topic. No, it's very interesting to speak about this because it's actually the discussion that is happening on a European level and also on international level. We have undergoing now the 6 objectives of the taxonomy are actually defining what is sustainable and what is not, in order to ease and to enable also the investors to what they can finance, what they should finance, regard the green asset ratios and all of this. But returning a bit to the Intesa Sanpaolo perspective, for the one who followed my presentation before, I showed that actually it's been since 2018 that the bank is considering the circular economy topic as a strategic theme, as a topic of compatibility for the bank. So it positioned itself already from then to finance circular economy. It started to study what is circular economy, to understand, to do an impact and finance, to do an impact planning, to understand really what is circular, really what is impactful. And that's why we defined a series of criteria, 5 criteria I showed before, that are actually designed through the together with the Element Capital Foundation in order to understand how to screen projects that are maybe not circular from projects that actually are circular, and so to avoid circular washing, let's call it. And so through these criteria, we renewed the launch of the platform now for 3 years of 8 billion euro to finance projects that are circular, that have actually a transformative impact of circular economy, and companies that want to undergo a circular transformation. So there is this, let's call it circular economy platform of 8 billion euro that has a favorable rate of interest, favorable rates. And so yeah, this is one of the main instruments that the bank is using to finance transformative projects.
Thank you, Christopher. I see we're coming to the end of this panel, so we then ask if there is some questions. So prepare yourself if you have any question. If not, we will then head back and finish. So before that, I give the floor to Paula for a question about the access to the workspace and how workspaces can change for an effective time management. So I see you focus a lot on the changes that are happening inside the small and medium enterprises. So this thing I think is important to underline, and I think that maybe you can give us a list inside this.
Yeah, I think that what we have to do as a cluster is to support companies in their changes. So I mentioned before on project we are partners of, and also from the education perspective, I think that we have some things to say, because speaking again about another project we will start now, and it will be about circular economy and about education of companies. But the important thing about this project, which name is transition, is that education is not something that we give to companies because we know everything and we have to teach them how to work. But it is something that we do together. So we start from the companies and we ask them what do you need to improve some kind of production or some kind of which kind of impact we would like to have, and we really work together in order to prepare training courses which are useful for them. So at the end of this program, we will have a toolkit, we will have labs, transition labs. Okay, it's silent. I think the button is over. Yeah. And I will say that at the end of this project, we will have a toolkit available so that the training courses that we organize in our regions will be made at disposal of any company all over Europe, so that they can use them and they can improve them. Also, as I said before, in order to be very effective and very to help companies according to what they really need.
As we see also, this mic stopped working, so I would love to thank all our speakers that we have here. So we have questions. So as I said before, oh yeah, sorry for that. I didn't. So as this one's not working, I will ask you to come here and we'll give you the floor.
Thank you very much. My name is Esme Bani. I'm here from the USA. My question really is about, I haven't heard anything about the global chain reaction in all of the strategies of circular fashion that you're talking about. I'm sure you're all aware that the life of a garment that originates here in the US ends up somewhere in the here in the European Union, I think the fiber ends up in the non-Western world, and where it goes through several iterations, reuse, reuse, upcycling, recycling, and then it ends up as waste, either in landfills or in the ocean. So any strategy to reformulate that has to think about that entire global chain reaction, right, up until its end use or waste dumping somewhere in the so-called third world. So how is this rethinking of the entire garment or fashion and textile industry, thinking about not just what's happening here in the European Union, but elsewhere in the world? Because the economic, environmental impact doesn't remain in one territory. It impacts all of us on this planet. And so some of the strategies for circular fashion already exist, essentially, but it's unraveling textiles imported from Europe and other countries to reuse the yarns, or taking second-hand fashion, second-hand clothing that has pretty much killed off some of the local industries in other countries. But still, over there, you have people thinking creatively about how to send the life of textiles and garments. How are we learning from those countries here in the US instead of reinventing them? So here in the European Union instead of reinventing them here. Thank you very much.
That's great. Thank you for your question. We want to take that for both of you, so I'll go first with Ellen and then Christopher.
I think it is a very, very important observation, yours, because this is a great issue that nobody is trying to face. Because the limit I see it is that every company or every organization see the environment that is around, but not the picture or the global value chain. The problem is that we are promoting fashion, etc., but the waste of this fashion all end up in some countries, in particular developing countries, and they have to manage. Sometimes we think we give our used clothes to these people in order to help them. We are not helping them because there are too much used clothes, there are too much textile waste. We are just displacing, moving the problem to another continent. So one of the purpose also of our project is to manage the waste where it is produced and not to move it to other places, in order also to make more sustainable the supply chain. And this can also improve and foster the competencies, the abilities of a country. So every country has circular competencies, abilities, proficiencies, and there are professionals specialized in upcycling, specialized in recycling, reuse, repurposing of clothes. We have to enhance, we have to valorize these competencies, not move the problem of textile waste to another continent. I think that your observation is really the center of the problem. And it is impossible to manage these quantities of textile waste all in that part of the world. So we have to think altogether a way to make fashion more circular and stop having this linear system of taking a lot of resources, producing clothes that are used for a very short time and then having a lot of waste. So we have to take waste as a resource and try to produce our clothes with that waste. That it is not more waste but a resource. So thank you for your observation.
Yeah, I agree. It's a very nice question. I believe it's complicated, just to start with. We all know that the textile value, fashion and textile value chain is a very complicated one. You know where it starts? Maybe you know where it starts, you don't know where it finishes. That's true. I disagree with the thing that there's no one thinking about it, no one talking about it. But I underline talking. There's a lot of talks, there's a lot of studies that are being made, but also of regulations that are being proposed. Just at the end of March, the EU proposed the circular economy textile EU strategy that actually go and touch on all these points, trying to find solutions that will actually be systemic, that don't go to address just a single company or a single model in order to address maybe locally a problem. some of these solutions are actually going, and their baseline is transparency and traceability. So first of all, imposing these kind of obligations to know how the product is made, with what the product is made, where it is geographically, is going to be on us also how to later go recover it and recycle it in an intelligent way. Arriving to recycling, there are a lot also of strategies, a lot of funds with the recovery plan of the European Union and the one in Italy that are actually focused on creating circular economic textile hubs, that are hubs that want to use the state-of-the-art technology and process in order to get the best with the most circular way out of these resources. So this is another concept also that is being studied and is going to be implemented hopefully. And then there is the concept of extended producer responsibility, in which every company will actually give a contribution, economical contribution, in order to manage its own waste, in order to be responsible at the end life cycle of its own waste. So there is a lot being done. It's still, we're still on a very early level. It's a very complicated value chain again. But I hope we are optimistic. And on personal level, as Circular Economy Lab, we're seeing a lot of movements from startups, from technology. So we know this process is a long one, and it is starting to get the right direction. Let's hope it's going in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So before the question, we have also the response from her. Then I will suggest to collect 2 or 3 questions, and then we'll finish the panel. Thank you.
I would just like to add that we should also think how to design the products before the production, and to design the value chain before the preparation and of the garments, because also the way we are thinking about the products is really important in order to be able to recycle or reuse them as soon as they are over and cancers and anymore. So also the previous part of the value chain is very important. And also the value chain, the redefinition of the value chain that we spoke about in Europe can be also applied all over the world. So we have to shift a little bit to open our mind in order to apply this global value chain from a perspective and European or US perspective.
Thank you, Paula. I see we have already 2 questions. I don't know if we have a third one. So please.
I would like to present myself and share some experience and sharing my experience. My name is Mamadova. I am presenting as a Virginia Entrepreneurs Network. We have so many entrepreneurs that deal in this textile industry as our members, and also our organization launched very recently TOPCA startup project related with upcycling. The major startup idea is related to make change in the mindset of people and behavior of the consumers. Because then we are talking about the production, we are also have to see these consumers' behaviors, because companies sometimes applying some sustainability criteria in their productions, so they want to lose their consumer segments. That's a major problem. You might want to know face debates. For instance, when we launched the startup project, we approached big brands in Europe to collaborate. I checked their websites and I saw very beautiful reports on sustainability, very beautiful, worthy, with beautiful pictures, very friendly, some, let's say, text. But in reality, I want a practical to achieve less environmental damage, less environmental loss. See, the companies, even luxury brand companies, are not yet practically apply these sustainable criteria. That is the reason France, this time, 2020, want to see that part of okay, so that's why it was another part of the topics and discussions. They applied law, it created obligatory on companies not to burn any materials that are kept in stocks. But now the question is that, okay, if they don't burn it, what happened to those? I am following these things, but I cannot find anywhere any information.
Well, maybe you want to, as you mentioned, Italians also has some strategy related to this not burning or reusing unsold materials. So what type of business models, just pick one of them, you or China, whatever brand you are cooperating with, what they are doing with these unsold materials from the stocks? Because I do understand that they don't want to lose their image because they don't want to distribute these materials to more middle class level people. Then what they are doing with this material? Practically something to be from the
Thank you. We have another question, so we decided on collecting questions because we already touched the time. So
Thank you. My name is Alicia Kennedy, and my question is primarily, I work in fashion and textiles training, and we also focus on sustainability and circular economy. My question is actually for Paula. I want to know how you are going to measure and monitor your participants, those are the SMEs that are going to take part in this new project. And in particular, when there's a conflict with profitability and sustainability. Because when there's a conflict, sometimes the principles and ethics just fall off.
okay. Thank you very much. Is there any question? Any other question? Last opportunity, last call. If not, we'll end up with the answers of our speakers. So Paula, do you want to start?
Yes, thank you for the question. We are about to start for this project, so I will not have, I will not able to give you all the answer now, but we are going to prepare some specific tools to exactly see which companies will be involved, which kind of companies will participate, and in which training courses they will be followed by us in the project. And so as soon as I will be able to give you an answer as soon as the project starts because we will have our kickoff meeting in September. So I am at your disposal for any further information. After September, I will be able to answer more precisely for your question. Thank you.
So thank you, Paula. Head back to Christopher, and then we'll finish with Owen.
So yeah, you touched on a very delicate point. I believe it's very, very delicate. We all remember many scandals and many problems that happened with different big brands. I'm not going to name any now. The new strategy of the EU that was just talking about before actually forbid. That's done. What they are doing, and we are having a project now as the circular economy lab also on this topic with different huge brands. We're speaking about big groups that have different brands under them. Also, I'm not going to name any. They are actually coming at us as well as UK right now in the same area and asking us so. We have a lot of brands, basically luxury, okay? And we cannot go and change easily the way we design and we put our logos on them. We cannot change the way our image has been done through the years and was actually the title of our success. But we cannot also go and just sell them away with such a cheap way because it's going to ruin the image, as you were saying. What can we do? As Paula also touched on this point that is very important, one of the solutions that I are trying to implement, but I'm going to put it through, they are trying to do it through capsule collections now. So through just experimental clothing is the design to disassembly. So they are designing clothes, trying to minimize the logo, adopting a minimal design in order also later to be easily disassembled from the clothes. So to undergo later a strategy of easier resale or giveaway, or upcycling. But it's on a capsule collection, and this we saw with different brands of a big group. They are trying to do that. At the same time, they are exploring, and they have a need there, a technological one. They are exploring how to find disassembly technology, trimming, or even chemical disassembly that can, in a cost-efficient way, an environmental efficient way, because there are a lot of challenges, go and cancel the logo or the pictures that give reference to their brand. When we spoke about not putting anymore the brand or change something in the design, it's really impossible because there is a huge subject of competitivity. So before this to arrive, they need to understand how technologically to scale these kind of approaches in order later to allow it. We don't know what they're doing in their unsold clothes, at least us. It's always, we can't tell you we need an MDA or other stuff. They are not disclosing on that, so I don't, they're not burning it, but maybe they're hiding it somewhere. And we're gonna-
Thank you for this talk. So, Elena, please, you want to.
I really understand what you meant going through the website of all these brands and seeing a lot of work, okay? And where is the concrete action? Okay. And we also have that experience with our startup because we have been contacted by different brands that try to find a solution for the desktop, so the unsold clothes that stay in the warehouse. So they are virtual in finding a solution. But we found that problem. So especially luxury brands do not want to go to the second-hand market, so where there is still the brands on the clothes, and want to go in the recycling destination because the clothes, the fiber is destroyed and regenerated, so there is not the brand, so the perceived value of the brand is conserved and not lost. But it is a real challenge because they not always have the possibility to recycling for the amounts, because for recycling you need big amounts of the same material and the same color. So there are technical issues in doing this. And also because maybe and they spoke before eco design, so they did not think and design the clothes for being recycled at the end of their life cycle or reused at the end of their life cycle. So it is a real challenge. We are trying to do it because we tried also to provide our technology for sorting, for circularity, also to brands. So to manage their desktop, I hope that all these legislation on EPR will be implemented and applied in a concrete way in Italy. Now they are missing the attractive debate. I don't know if in English this is the expression, but maybe it can be a good thing to copy what happened in France, because I think it is a real important thing to do.
So, thank you very much. So, if any of the speakers want to add anything, we close our session here. Thank you very much. So, I'd like to welcome and thank our speakers and also all the participants that are here and that participated with us and joined us in this session dedicated to industry stakeholders' vision. So, fashion towards future sustainability and innovation. So, thank you again very much, and we are here to discuss later on during a coffee break. So, thank you very much.
Yes, I will send you. It's an important
No? Okay.
Diretta.
Sì, però non riesco a trovare la mia presentazione. Ah, non si apre. Che non va?
La presentazione non te l'apre. Apri con.
No, perché forse... Diego, scusa. Non riesce ad aprire la mia presentazione, non so più dov'è la sessione di internet che avevamo aperto.
No, aspetta perché è andato. Ok.
Non mi apre la presentazione, non so.
Qual è?
Qui sotto.
Aggiornamento di Office in corso mi sembra il momento migliore per farlo partire, no? Che dici tu? Ma questa è ancora attiva?
Eh sì, perché è ancora...
Ma la chiudo o no?
No, perché andiamo avanti.
Ma non devi fare talk 3?
No, questo è talk 2.
Ancora? O hai finito il talk 2?
No, questo è talk 2. Finito il talk 1.
Il talk 1 l'abbiamo finito noi prima.
No, adesso inizia il talk 2. Scusa, vai qua. Adesso parliamo dell'internazionalizzazione. Prima era la circular fashion.
Dove era finito il tuo? Questo possiamo chiuderla, vero?
Sì.
La tua era qua? Ma perché non l'apre?
Vabbè, dai, non importa.
No, vabbè,
Iniziamo. Inizio a far parlare Ben e vediamo. No, ci troviamo lui con.
Cioè, oggi non ne va una così computer,
Okay, so can we start with the other session regarding the internationalization? So today is a good day for the technology tools because everything works very well. It's a joke because nothing is working, so I cannot present I cannot show you my presentation because something gets wrong, I don't know, but it doesn't matter. As we are a little bit late, I will just skip my presentation because we can have time to give you information regarding the enterprise group network and all our global networks all around the world. As you know, the EN network is a worldwide network spread in more than 60 countries. We gather Chamber of Commerce, university, business agencies that work with enterprises. The aim is to support enterprises to grow and to innovate internationally. I'm dealing with the textile sector. I'm coordinating sector textile within the EN network. We are 35 members from different countries. We used to work together to find new activities, to give information in regards to European policy in relation to the textile issue, of course. We give information to fashion designers and startups in regards to business funds, European funds, and other funding opportunities to grow and to develop business worldwide. We organize brokerage events to provide opportunities and to facilitate creation of international collaboration, as this one where you are attending right now. We collaborated with Data Innovation Week since 7 years now. So again, thanks for your participation. This edition was a little bit different from the previous because we had 4 days split in presence and online activities. So we had a lot of participants registered, 280 registered on the platform. In presence, more or less 100, but it was in any case good results with a lot of meetings. So now I would like to present some EN experts, so some experts from the Enterprise Network from all around the world. I have the pleasure to introduce you our colleagues from EN Network in New York. He's Sven Oene, the surname is correct. Okay, so he's a CEO and president at EADO, the European American Business Organization. So I would like to give the floor to present the organization within EN, and then we can go through the other section. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, and thank you very much for having me here. It's a long way to come to Torino, but I just wanted to make 2 remarks as I start. One is I was very happy to see the colleagues from Ukraine But I do want to add that while Europe has a lot in Ukraine, the US is the most prominent supporter of Ukraine, and President Biden is very committed. Okay, and President Biden is very committed to that. And number two is, I mean, sustainability and circular economy is all very good. But I didn't hear anybody talking about consumers, because I think you have to convince the consumers that they buy those products. And I was thinking perhaps the European approach, where you make laws and then when they're there, and if you don't engage the consumers, just to comment on the side. So we are in New York City. We are part of the Enterprise Europe Network. We are part of the Business Cooperation Center.
Però lui me l'ha mandato.
Euro language that we use, and we have also another partner that is part of it in San Diego, and the university, Temple University in Philadelphia. Obviously, it's a big country. It takes 5 hours to fly from New York to Los Angeles. So, and someone this morning in my meeting said, it's a continent.
Stiamo pensando di vederlo di qua perché l'ho scaricato.
But yes,
Poi
it's a big
aprirlo,
country
però è
with
per lo
50
speaker dopo.
states. Each state has different laws that also have to be looked at when people want to come to the US. And so what we do is we guide them through the process. It's we call what we do a one-stop shop. So we have to talk to the client, we have to get detailed information from them, and then we kind of make the path and tell them what we are going to do, how we're going to do it, and we talk to them frequently so that we agree on what we're doing. And we're also not funded by the European Commission, so we do charge for some of the services that we offer. We also look at legal issues that obviously exist. We look at taxation, and we look at setting up a company, immigration law, because it is not as easy as it is to do business within Europe. The US is an easy country to do business, but you have to know how you do it and what to do. And so that's where we assist. Another issue is, of course, 6 hours time difference, and that's not so bad. I think with Australia it's 12 hours. And they always go together when we get up in New York. So it is an issue because first of all, people may be reluctant to dial a foreign number from the US because they don't know. And that's where we come in. So we can do that through us computer. And we can call in Europe, or also because we speak some of the European languages, that always makes it easier when we call a different country. And that's helpful. We have a number of things that we try to work on and update people on, especially when it comes to immigration, because the situation was complicated over the last couple of years, and it now is improving a little bit, as you will see. But something else that I want to mention is that we hear a lot in Europe about recession fears, and in the US there is some talk too, but I'm not as skeptical about the US as I am about Europe, unfortunately. And the US was released this morning, was added 372,000 new jobs, and that's good. Obviously, if more, it would be better, but it certainly shows that there is still a resilient economy, and that it makes sense to invest, and that's why, obviously, I know that I'm very partisan when I say I encourage companies from Europe to come to the US, and we can help them, we can deal with the issues that they have, and many companies have done it, and so it's not so difficult.
Che ruolo come partecipante?
The,
Panelist.
Come panelist. Quindi come
The
panelist
one thing
dovremmo
that you
essere
have to
in
keep in
grado
mind,
di
you have to be focused, you have to be focused on doing business, you have to be focused on your product, and any
Quindi puoi
expansion
renderlo
in
anche
the US can be
organizzatore o
something on the side.
organizzatore. Prima non ti riusciva, adesso si riesce.
Because
Però
that
io
isn't
prima
good. You
poi
have to
l'avevo
focus
fatto,
on doing it. But the same goes for American companies that come to
adesso
Europe.
vediamo se qua
They
riesce,
also
se
have to
no possiamo
focus
provare a
on the
renderlo
activity.
organizzatore.
Because it's not something that runs on automatic. We will help people, we can clear the path and tell them what they have to do and what we can do on their behalf. But we still need to focus on it. But you have to focus on what is in anyway, so I don't think it's anything new that I'm
Adesso per
saying.
dire non aprire il
So
PowerPoint.
I also, if there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer them because I think my 6 minutes are over. And I was supposed to speak, but if you have any questions, any suggestions, any whatever,
Adesso la presentazione
and
di
it can
quello
also be about the
Latin
US as
America
such.
dobbiamo provare
You have to come here
a
for the microphone, I guess.
qualcuno che ha scritto nella chat, non va bene che ci vediamo davanti al PC.
Yeah, but I don't see anybody having questions.
se stacchi il coso non vedo niente. Se stacchi la telecamera.
And I think what
Guarda, è un
I
po'
said
così,
before,
è un po'
I think it's
ingestibile anche
because
da chi guarda.
sustainability and circular economy is also something that is discussed in the US. But I think it is important, and so your initiative, I think it was important to also reach out to the people. Because if they don't play along, if they say they still bought it out from a major supplier in Asia, and I don't care about whether it's recyclable or not, then there is a problem. And you will see, I think one area I'm maybe a little bit concerned about as far as the economy is concerned is the future relationship with China. And not so much about Taiwan, but there are economic issues between the US and China, and there are more economic issues also between the EU and China. And I don't have to go through that, it's not the topic here, but I think those are questions that may become more prominent. I don't know if you also cover the issues of workers, where they come from. And the issue of workers, like child labor and so on, which is a problem in Asia, in some Asian countries, where they use child laborers or slave laborers in prominent country, and then, but you don't know. So I think that's also a major issue that one has to keep in mind. And I used to say, the consumer, when he goes to buy shirts, and he has a choice between an expensive American shirt, and 3 China shirts. What's he going to do? Many people will say, I'll buy the China shirts because it gets 3 for the price of 1. And they don't know who made them, what goes into them, and so on and so forth. So, there are a number of issues, but hopefully you'll be resolved in some way or other. I could talk more if you want.
I don't know if you have some questions, otherwise we can go through the program. No questions for Sven, so thank you so much.
Thank you. Now, I'll be here until Saturday evening, so you can ask me any questions if they come up.
Great, thank you, thank you.
Vediamo. Ben, quello collegato.
Okay, now we try to connect the two speakers, but it's an online connection. I just informed the speakers that we are having some troubles with the connection, so we don't know if we can hear you, Val. So we are trying, otherwise we pass to the other speakers of the day.
Paola Fontana from Pointex, because we are here presenting the European project. But first, we try with the
No, cioè organizzatore no, perché poi non riusciamo più a fare niente. Cioè, organizzatore, io non capisco perché non riesca. Cioè, provo ancora. Ah, ok, adesso aspetta.
we can see Valle, but we cannot hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, finally. Okay. Talk again.
Nick, can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect, but I cannot switch on my video.
Okay, no worries. Just switch off your microphone.
No, it's the problem of the hoster. So maybe you need to allow me to use the video.
Yes, now we allowed you, but first we have Val from New York. So I please give the floor to him because we are a little bit in delay. So thank you, Val, for attending online.
Thank you, Federica. Thank you. Good morning, everyone, and thank you again. Can you guys hear me well?
Yes.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you for Claudio and Federica and the entire team at Torino Fashion Week for hosting these incredible events. I know that a lot of people are excited to be in Italy right now. My name is Val Nzie, and I lead the executive team of a US investment group based in New York. And I additionally own a family investment office, which invests in many companies across several industries, including fashion. And we are the majority investor at ATF Fashion House NYC. And it is under that umbrella that we'll be speaking with you guys today. So ATF Fashion House NYC, it's a New York fashion accelerator that supports brands and fashion designers from all over the world to distribute their products across the United States and 19 other countries. Fashion designers, they're dreamers, innovators, entrepreneurs, creators. And those people change the way we live and the way we dress because they influence the culture. But we've noticed that a lot of them are not business people. They create a lot of amazing things, but they don't really make money because a lot of them are driven by the passion and the creation, and sometimes neglect the business side of things. So what we do at ATF NYC, our role is to help designers and brands to turn those dreams into actual money. Today, I want to talk to you about how to expand your brand in the United States. I want to touch on the key challenges and growth opportunities to penetrate America. Over the years, we've seen a lot of designers and a lot of brands make so many mistakes when trying to enter the American market, not educating themselves enough by doing the proper research, not having a clear strategy specific to their core business, signing American partnership too soon with the wrong parties or just under the wrong terms, opening a physical store in the US too soon at the wrong cost or just at the wrong time, presenting their brand to the American consumers with the same marketing materials and advertising strategies that they're using in their original market, and communicating their brand in ways that does not speak to the American vibes, not leveraging the authenticity and their life story to wow the American audience, and sometimes even quoting the wrong price, either by overcharging or undercharging American customers. Those are some of the challenges that we've seen a lot of brands open in the US and say, oh, it's too expensive, close after 3 months, or being in business, a lot of press, a lot of social media, but really not making money, but owing money and being in debt. Entering a market, it's a great idea and a great initiative, but I think it's important to do it a smart way. The US alone generates more than $300 billion in fashion every year. So there is a lot of money here. And the fashion market in the US, it's segmented into 3 tiers. You have the 3 top state market, which is New York, California, and Florida. And then you have 30 states that are medium markets, but that could be very huge market for countries outside of the US. And then you have 17 states that are considered as average market, but who are generating more money than some entire countries overseas. The country is very metropolitan cultural. It means that in the US, you can find a consumer from every part of the world because a lot of people move from different parts of the world to be here. So we consume all categories of fashion. Americans love convenience. Every week, 80% of Americans buy at least one item online, while 40% buy at least one item in a physical store. The American consumer base have shifted. We went from that self-centered and conservative middle-class American to today a new hybrid consumer base that includes immigrants, young people, minorities and women with a voice, Americans who have traveled the world and have been exposed to other cultures, previously entitled Americans who have been humbled by the pandemic. This is the new America. And this is today's most active buying demography in the US. So these are the people you're talking to when you're trying to sell something in the United States. In the past, we've seen that entering the US was very difficult and very costly for a brand. You needed to rent a place, maybe in New York, maybe in California. You needed to hire personnel, or sometimes you needed to relocate yourself and live here. So it was a friend for a lot of brands, it was very difficult, because it was expensive. But when you look at the impact of the recent pandemic, the adoption of digital has exploded around the world and certainly here in America. And there's never been a better time to enter the American market at the lowest possible cost, like right now. So if you're a fashion designer, if you're a brand anywhere around the world, there is a lot of money to capture in the United States. But again, you have to do it the smart way. Establishing your local presence first before thinking expanding. It's like if you're not selling at a comfortable pace in your local market or market close to you, then the US is probably too soon for you, because it's important to prove and show that people around you already like, trust, and pay for what you create. Then you need to educate yourself, research brands that sell similar products like yours in the American market, and learn from what they do wrong or right to create a viable market entry strategy. Like, who are your target customers? What cities are your top market? What price point are they willing to pay for your product? Where are the wholesale opportunities for you? And then you need to find the right local partner. You can either hire or partner with an individual or an organization that understands the US market and brings a tangible added value to your commerce. You should only sign with people you can trust, people who have presented to you a clear strategy, people who have shown to you how they will help you to take what you have built from hard work to where they promise to take you. You have to be very careful, and you have to avoid big talkers, people who are making large promises. You want to request and review the targeted plan that support the goal that they're presenting to you and make an informed decision. And then you have to put yourself out there. Like, the markets today, it's crowded. There's so many brands and products. Consumers are exposed to endless opportunities and platforms. You can buy anything, anywhere, if you want it in 5 seconds. So to compete, I think your key differentiator, it's you. It's your story, your vision, what you care about, what matters to you, what you stand for, what do you fight for, what cause do you advocate for. I see a lot of designers and brands leaving that information on the side when that's actually the identity of your brand, and that's what makes you the difference between a consumer buying your product or just moving on to the next seller just because you're selling me the same shoes or the same dress that everybody else. What is it that is unique in you that make me pause and buy from you? Because you care about sustainability, because you care about women's rights, because what you do is to support somebody in a developing country. There has to be something that sets you apart outside of just the quality. You need to leverage the power of your story, because building a brand, it's like building a business, and you're creating a legacy that inspire, that impact others. So it starts with your story. You have to know how to write it. You have to know how to share it in a way that it touches and impacts the very people you're trying to sell to. Adapt your marketing to the American market. If you have to, hire American models to wear your brand. Create targeted materials depending on the market that you're going to. Like if you're speaking to New Yorkers or California buyers, it's different than if you're speaking to buyers from Kansas or South Carolina. It's a totally different market. And lastly, you have to know the right time to launch a physical presence. You can do this one at a progressive pace. First, you have to know where your sales are coming from. You need to track your sales. Set up financial targets that trigger your physical launch. For instance, you may decide to host some pop-up showrooms in a city, want to generate a minimum of $100,000 in sales. You can also decide that you can launch a physical presence in a city where you reach $1 million in sales. So we don't have a lot of time, but those are a few tips and observations from dealing with brands. Even here in the US, somebody can be selling in one state, but they're trying to get in another state, or international brand that are trying to enter here. We wanted to share with you some of the observation that we have seen and some of the tips that we have applied. So we don't want to hear anymore a lot of brands saying, I need to save $100,000 or $1 million to go to the US. I don't think the market has changed. Today, with a little bit of money and a great strategy at the right timing with the right people, you can do great things. Thank you very much for listening to what I had to say. And we thank again Federica and Claudio for this phenomenal event. Feel free to check out our website at atfh.nyc and contact us if you want to get a little bit more discussion with our team. Thank you.
Thank you, Val. It would be interesting to have you physically here on site, because for sure it will be more engaging and we could have more interaction. But things like goes like this. But I hope to see you maybe next year, so we could have a direct connection with you. So thank you so much for your time. We will keep in touch for sure.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, so now we just change a little bit the session. So I would like to introduce you Corina Molla from Hitex. She's head of the group in transfer event and market. She represents a world project. It's a European project for SMEs, for manufacturing companies. I would like to give her the floor just to present in a very short time, like 6 minutes if you can, 7, the project.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. So I'm going to share my screen. Yes. Can you see the slides?
Yes. Can you?
Okay. Thank you very much. Federica and Diego, for inviting me this afternoon to share with you this amazing initiative from the European Commission. And let me start by telling you why the European Commission has decided to create this program, this work program, which has been running for 4 years. This is the 5th year running with the 2nd edition. And this is why the SMEs and designers play a crucial role to reach the strategic objectives of Europe. And although this ecosystem, these creative industries are considered pivotal for growth and employment, it is sometimes happens that their competitiveness is somehow very poor by their limited exploitation of the international opportunities. So in this context, the COSME program, the program for the competitiveness of the small and medium-sized enterprises, has as main objective to support the development and strengthen the competitiveness of these European creative industries and designers as innovation drivers. So, as I mentioned, this is a program funded by the COSME program, and the main aim is to create and support transnational collaborations between designers, creative people, manufacturing enterprises, SMEs, crafters, makers, and technology firms looking to develop design-driven and innovative products. This is the 2nd edition of the program, which ran from 2017 to 2021. And the first call of work that closed in March last year was linked to the new European Bauhaus, including its 3 core values: beautiful, sustainable, and inclusive. We don't know if the 2nd call will still be devoted to the new European Bauhaus, but it seems that as this is very strategic for Europe, it will continue in the 2nd call. So let me show you some figures, some facts from Word. Over 4 years, 2,600 partners were registered in our platform, with 462 applications submitted, involving 978 applicants from 36 countries. And in the 1st edition, 152 transnational partnerships were selected and supported. As I mentioned, we are now facing the second edition of Word, in which 200 transnational partnerships will be selected in 3 calls for proposals. The first call is already closed. We are almost dealing with the formalization of 123 proposals that involve 680 partners. And we have now 65 new partnerships ongoing that will start on the 1st August. The benefits of Word, well, this is an incubation program. And what we offer to the 200 projects selected is the presence in media, advertising, and social networks, funding up to 20,000 euros, a tailor-made mentoring program, the participation in 2 international events to showcase the developed products, participation in networking activities, professional links provision, and the visibility of participants' profile in the Word Gallery, which is acting like a kind of database of designers and companies accessible to everybody that could enter. And in this database, you will find more than 2,500 people registered, and you can easily access them and make business apart from Word. As I mentioned, one of the main features of our incubation program is the coaching. And this is why I'm going to emphasize that in the 1st edition of Word, we have provided 2,300 hours of tailored mentoring and advisory services, 40 hours of training, 35 online modules and seminars available to everybody, not only to the selected partnerships, and 8 on-site workshops. Also, another important part, very valued by the World with Partnerships, are the exhibitions and networking. Within the first edition of World, we have attended six exhibitions, 2 per round. One of them was the Milan Design Week and the Dutch Design Week. Unfortunately, due to the pandemic, with the second and third call, you must attend the events online. But we hope that the situation is for the moment almost solved. For the second edition, we are going to organize on-site the exhibitions. Also, we have organized 3 internet networking activities under the format of working groups to trigger the creation of professional connections and also the exchange of knowledge and best practices, giving the winning partners the opportunity to connect. And also the partnerships have attended 120 sectoral events in 26 EU and COSME associated countries. Who can participate to this program? Legal entities forming the consortium could include SMEs under the EU definition, also self-employed professionals or natural persons. The only condition is that they must be legally established according to the laws of each participating country as per the signature of the grant agreement, and at least during the whole duration of their project, the implementation if the partnership is finally selected. Also, private non-profit organizations and for-profit organizations and other entities such as universities, research centers, design labs, etc., if it is justified or relevant to the partnership project. I must underline that this is a program mainly devoted to the SMEs and the designers, but we are not closed to other participants if it is necessary for the correct development of the project. And let me show you some success stories for the World One related to the fashion industry. For instance, let me introduce you this a consortium by Hungary and Spain, which have been using leather waste to manufacture show heels, employing traditional Hungarian techniques for the sole. Also, this one, the Nothing, perfectly designed jewels through innovative process. This is a partnership of 3 partners, Italy, Poland, and Malta, and it joins reusing industrial materials, also using the filigrees traditional techniques from Malta, and the new smart materials with 3D printing by Poland. And in the picture, you can see the final prototypes developed by these partners. Also, this is an amazing project made of the cow stomachs. It is called Mentry. So you know that animal stomachs are normally waste products. And the partnerships take as a challenge to provide higher value added through design to this waste, let's say waste. So there is a huge demand of sustainable alternatives to luxury leather, not compromising on an aesthetics and quality. So they decided to make different handbags and also different products made of leather from a different stomach of the cow. Also, this is a partnership made by Finland and Poland, the circular wear collection for hotel service personnel. And this is made from repurposed industrial textiles from the EU. This collection has a bespoke design and also includes sustainable treatments for dyeing and finishing to the textile wastes. Another project, this is Refram. This is a project providing fitting and high quality eyewear for people with low and wide nose bridges. So you know that normally the eyewear, it's made for Caucasian prototypes, and the consortium made from a partner from Germany and a producer from Spain are producing glasses to fit most of the Black people nose profiles. using 3D printing and other techniques. Also, this is a collection of jewelry, worth that silver. This is a sustainable jewelry made by the 3D printing techniques, and also using traditional artisan techniques of lost wax casting to develop customized pieces. So it's a way to mix in tradition and technology. And last but not least, this project MINTA is a modular structure system. The consortium is composed by Germany and Hungary, and it's a structure system based on the art of weaving. They are produced modular multi-layer spaces that create a unique aesthetic and customizable design using 3D software and technology of laser cutting. Well, there's another one, the Amalgama. This is a consortium made by Spain and France, and they are producing a collection of pieces, but that looks like one garment, but it is composed by 9 different garments. So when people disassemble the main piece, it turns into a small collection of individual garments. And that's all. The first call is closed, as I mentioned, but the second call will be open after summer. We are planning to launch it at the same time as MICAM in Milan in September. So if you follow us in social networks, we are going to announce the second call, and I invite you to participate, to register, and also to promote this program through your networks, because it's a very interesting incubation program, and we are more than happy of your participation. That's all from my side. I don't know if you have any questions or if we have time to go through some questions, Federica. Or
Thank you, Karina. We don't have time for questions, but we will provide the audience with the presentation. So in case they can write me, and I will pass the question to you. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Karina, for your time. So we go through the other presentation with Paola as well. And again,
dunque, perché adesso devo spento il mio computer per i problemi che abbiamo avuto.
Lei ha una presentazione PowerPoint, poi PDF. Non so dov'è però. Ma è da scaricare? Questa qua?
No, Torino Fashion Week, la prima cartella.
Il PDF, lo prenderei per...
quello che vuoi.
Perché non apre...
Okay, good afternoon again. I'm Paola Fontana from Pointers. I will present you briefly our cluster. I will not go into details because I already said something during the previous talk. We are an association of companies, so we are based in Vienna, northwest of Italy, and we have companies in innovation, internationalization, research and innovation, and assets. I will go into details if you want, as we have no time. But if you want, I want to give you those of information. This is the cluster system we are working with. This is the only digital clusters that we are clusters based in Atlanta as well, and we cooperate with them, with our own government. We have now this research agenda that we are redefining a little bit, but just to say that we are working on the side for voting, side for furniture, and the side for diversified application, which is basically what anything you can think about, and it's just dealing with the size, but not something that you put on or that you can use in your houses. So I will speak about EU Alliance project, which is a project financed by the European Commission. And it started with Alliance number 1, which was the previous project we were partners of, that allowed us to have a first overview of this kind of projects of opportunities for companies. This is what we are going to do with our project. We aim to support small and medium internationalization from SMEs in the field of technical textiles. So we are not speaking about fashion, but about technical textiles that can be used in connectivity and in other sectors which are not really so close to the textile field. We are going to organize 4 missions to the US, to Indonesia, to Canada, and to Japan. And we will implement the internationalization strategy with our SMEs. The key objective is to support companies, small and medium enterprises, in the global competition and providing them with customized services to enter in international markets. We have to say that our companies are already going international. They are used to work with several countries all over Italy and all over Europe, but some of them are not so confident in some of these countries. So what we have to do is support them in these issues. We are a consortium of 6 partners from France, from Italy, and from the Netherlands. Basically, we are 3 textile clusters. We are one defense and security cluster based in the Netherlands, one high-tech cluster, and one deep-tech cluster. This is very important because in this way of working, we can have a very cross-sectorial approach. So we are working not only from the textile perspective, but also from the other perspectives, which are very important in this kind of projects. I was speaking about fashion before. This is not a project related to fashion, but indeed we have to say that textiles is out everywhere. So there are several applications which are not fashionable, but which are very important for our day-to-day life, and also for chemical applications. I'm speaking about I did just some example here. I'm speaking about waterproof and energy generating textiles for uniforms, for camouflage in particular, tents, covers, bags, and so on, bulletproof jackets and vision, composite and autonomous vehicles, sensor technology for monitoring vital function that can be used in the defense sector, but also in other sectors as well, night vision, as I said before, thermoregulating clothing, and geo-organization in various environments. I said before that the aim of this project is to organize missions and to support SMEs and to help them to find opportunities in 4 different countries outside Europe. What do we do during these missions? Our missions are aimed at facilitate, accelerate contacts, are aimed at developing new networks, and to carry out technology information monitoring benefit from our logistics support to companies. During our mission, our companies will be able to have B2B meetings with local companies, to visit industrial sites or research labs, or to attend to specific events. They will have some networking time between the delegation we are organizing, and also we will offer them a market research report on the country, as is very important, as one of the speakers said before, to be very aware of the country they are going to, because there are several regulations that may differ also in the same country. All of our missions are structured around the needs of the company. So we start from company's needs. We collect their needs with the surveys and we're talking with them. Then we organize the mission, and then we open the call for proposals. So SMEs can apply. There is also the possibility to apply even now for our next mission. We select some companies, and the selected companies will be able to get the support, the financial support, up to 1,000 euros per company. And then we will go together to the mission, and we will have also a follow-up in order to help companies even after the mission is, when the mission is over, so that we can really support them also in their businesses. Next mission will be to the US. It will be held in October, and it will be held with the exhibition AUSA 2022, which is one of the most important exhibitions in the defense sector. So companies will have the possibility to visit the exhibition, and then here you can find the complete program, which is already to be defined, but in a way we will organize several B2B meetings with local companies and local associations, and we will also have some meetings with the Maryland government authorities. Last thing I want to say is the call for a proposal to participate in the mission to the US is still open. The deadline will be on the 12th of July, so if you are interested, I'm going to tell you everything you may need. This is the link to the AUSA exhibition that we will attend if you participate in our mission. I hope I will have been fast enough. Thank you. If you have questions, again, I'm here to answer.
Thank you, Paola, for your support. Thank you so much. Okay, so now we change completely again issue. So I welcome the IT help desk from Africa, Latin America, and India to give you, please come, to give you an overview on the intellectual property rights. So I welcome Desislava as first speaker. Okay, so from the Africa IPR help desk.
Hai la tua mail aperta?
Rientrare di qua.
Okay, finish here, but it has to be through the USB. Or do you want me to send it
through the USB, it's okay, or by email to another email. La PDF version. Do you have a PDF version? Of
What version?
The PDF?
No, I don't have PDF. I have only PPT.
PPT, because we have some problem with PPT. I don't know why. We can try. Okay, we can try by Google.
I'm Giovanna Paula Jerry. I'll be speaking on behalf of the Latin American Academic Class, which is a project co-financed by the European Commission that gives trainings like the one we have today, but also first line of assistance, which means that we reply to your queries, whatever queries you have on intellectual property and contracts, legal queries, trademarks, designs, patents, copyright, within your business day, free of charge and with total confidentiality. I have just handed you, and my colleague, we have just handed you a questionnaire. Yes. This is important for the continuation of our projects. Okay. So we need a before questionnaire. Don't worry, it's not a long questionnaire. It's just 3 questions. Just 3 questions. So the before we start, you can fill it up already. And we have an after. After we finish speaking, you have another questioning, so we can know if what we're doing is effective or not effective. And then you also have a feedback, so that we know how our speakers are doing. And I hope you give a good one there. Yeah? I need that one. Like I said, I'm speaking from the Latin American community, yeah? But we have sister projects. The same service, the same training, information sheets, guides, first line of assistance is also offered by the Indian IP SME Help Desk. But we also have the African IP Help Desk with us here, and the European IP Help Desk, the Chinese IP SME Help Desk, and the Southeast Asia. I think they have the same problem, but no. So we have the same problem. So we have a little bit of a problem with our presentation. But in any case, since I'm here, I'll start.
Okay, I'm fine.
When we're talking about intellectual property, we're talking about business, and we're also talking about legal. We're also talking about law. When we're talking about business, you'd like to know, Sven, that we're talking about customers, right?
Diego.
And I want you guys to be here with me. So, what is the main goal of a business, of any business? Anyone want to help me? Anyone? The goal of your business? Loud, 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 loud. Yes. So the goal of any business is to sell. Then you have values that connect you to your customers, then you have tools that help you get to your customers. But the main goal, without sell, is no continuation of the business.
And when I talk about intellectual property, when I talk about trademarks, designs, patents, copyright, I'm talking about getting closer to my customer. How important is this for the business, for the fashion section? Let's broaden our scope of what is fashion, because today fashion can encompass lots and lots and lots and lots of things. But just so that I can make my point, I'm going to talk about jewelry. Okay? If I talk about diamonds, what is the first company that comes to your head? De Beers. Anyone else? If I talk about a baby blue box, does it come anything in your head when I think about a baby blue box? Does it come to your head anything? Tiffany's. Girls' best friend. I have a mixed crowd here. So for the girls, girls' best friend. For the men here, you know where to go to get your girlfriends and wives. A little diamond ring. De Beers, Tiffany's. There's options out there. So when I'm talking about trademark and the importance of trademarks for the fashion industry, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about something general, but I'm going to give a symbol, a meaning to a symbol that my consumer will be able to recognize there whatever he is. So then we start with the legal aspect of intellectual property. We give a legal meaning, a legal description to what a trademark is. Trademark is a symbol that you use in commerce to connect with your consumer. That symbol can be a name, a word, a letter, a color, a logo, so many different things. And why is it important? Trademarks, designs, and patents. And here in our screen, we actually see why it's super important. Because owning these rights is the only way you'll be able to defend your business interests in the future. So here you see real and unreal. Would you be able to recognize what is real and what is unreal if I had not pointed in the slide to you? Most consumers wouldn't. So that's why we use this asset, this intangible asset, to connect with the consumer, but also to protect them. And the way to protect them is to be able to defend those rights, those business interests, when an infringement happens. And the way to be able to defend that is to register those rights. Now, continuing, why is so important? Intellectual property, intangible assets are said to be around, or to make for around 90% of the value of Standard & Poor's 500 companies. I'm talking about huge companies. And make millions and millions and millions and millions. It might not be your face, it might not be a Standard & Poor's just yet, in the future. Now, another very important information here is in a study done by BYPO with other institutions, a very small percentage of SMEs, small business enterprises, actually register their rights. So if one day you want to be Standard & Poor's 500, just because it makes up to 90% of the value of a Standard & Poor's 500, you just have to start
registering it and owning it in the legal way. Now, a few weeks ago, someone came to me, or I read somewhere, or someone said to me, those that are afraid of asking questions are also afraid of the answer. And I hope you're not afraid of the answer. Most people I came across with, when I talk about intellectual property, are actually afraid of intellectual property. That is too big of a name, too big of a word for me to actually even get to know. Don't be afraid of knowing. So we know now intellectual properties have business, have legal, have business, have law. We know it's super important for the continuation of the interest of our companies. We know it makes for a huge percent of the value of our companies. So we also need to know what exactly they mean and what principles rule these assets. Then once we know that, we enter into what is law, and what is requirement, and what is use, and what is enforcement. Because protection, you have protection lots of times related to registration and ownership, but protection is actually a compound of actions that you need to do throughout the life of your company, throughout the life of your assets. And those actions are registration, use, and enforcement. And each of these stages have different requirements. Today we're going to focus mainly on the requirements for registration. Now, the next big principle we need to know is that owners' rights, any new project, any new product may have a design, patent, utility model, copyright, industry secrets, trade secrets, domain names, etc. All these are assets. They are geographically located where you're trading. This is one of the main important, the most important principles in intellectual property. That's why we have Latin America IP address, India address, Africa address, China, Southeast Asia, and European address. That's right. So let's start with securing ownership. Let's secure ownership of trademarks in Latin America. And before you go anywhere, before you go to the US, before you go to Latin America, any country in Latin America, before you go to India, China, Southeast Asia, make sure at least your trademark is registered. Because your trademark is how the customer is going to connect with you. It's how the consumer is going to find you on the internet. It's how he's going to look for you on social media. It's how he's going to tell his friends the good experience he has or he had with your product. So don't ever leave this step for later. And especially if most of you are a European business, and this is, if not now, there has never been a better moment to actually look into the registration of the assets, because there is an SME fund that gives you, for European Union rights, 70%, up to 75% of the costs, of the government costs. But also 50% of, up to 50% of the costs you have abroad. The costs you may have in Africa, the costs you may have in Latin America, the costs you may have in China, whatever. 50%. So we're not talking, it can be more, it can always be more, but it's not to disconsider. Now, when we're talking about trademarks,
The main requirements are availability. It has to be available. If someone has already registered, it's not available for us, and we have to choose something else. So that is so important to be the first to go into whatever country you're going to and register. Now, it also has to be non-descriptive. You cannot describe the products you're selling. If you're selling skirts, you cannot use the word skirts in your trademark, or not on its own. So you need to go onto the side of being creative. And you are in the creative industry, so explore that creativity you already have. Now, we have different types of trademarks. The typical ones, letters, words, and logos. And you have less traditional ones, like colors, like I said, the baby blue of Tiffany. We also have sound marks. We all heard Nokia song, or even these days, the Netflix one, and so many others. So, are you using a sound mark? Are you using a sound mark to connect with the consumer? If that's the case, what you're looking at is a non-traditional trademark. It still needs to be available. It still needs to be non-descriptive. And so many other things. During the registration proceedings, different countries will have different types of examination. In Latin America, generally, the examination is a little bit more exhaustive than other countries, and that's why it generally will take a little bit longer from filing to registering. Industrial designs. What are industrial designs? Industrial designs is the static features of your product. I'm not talking about something beautiful or ugly. I'm talking about just the characteristics that make that product that product. What is visually perceptible by the eyes. The color, the shape, the color and the shape together. We also have, in some Latin American countries, the distinction of model and drawing. This is a good, important distinction. When we're talking about drawing, we're talking about 2D. And why is it important for you? Some of you, or most of you, are in the textile. So, in industry design of a drawing, a textile could be industry design of a drawing. Now, if it's 3D, if it's an object, then we're talking about a model. Now, some countries in Latin America do accept both types of designs. Others don't. Others don't even accept designs in textile. They have to be protected by other means, other intellectual properties. The duration of protection varies also from country to country, from 5 to 25 years. The registration requirements in this case are a little bit more cumbersome to achieve because they require novelty. And novelty is a concept that has to be worldwide. It has to be new worldwide, not only in that specific country. Most countries in Latin America, not to say all of them, do not grant any rights to non-registered rights, which is not the case in the European Union. In the European Union, we have a type of asset, intangible asset, is non-registered design. For 20 years, you have that non-registered design. In Latin America, is not the case. And last but not least, let's What is the concept of a patent? A patent is a solution to a technical problem. The technical problem can be simple. In this case, we have the earrings attachment to close them and not to, so they hold on into your ear. At one point, all of the attachments you see there were patent. But if you understand even more clear, I'm going to come out of the fashion and I'm going to talk about coffee. We might need a little bit of coffee to wake up. So if you think about the coffee pig filter, the coffee pig filter was the most simple thing ever. That is a patent. It was a technical solution to filter the coffee. So it doesn't have to be something complicated. It just had to be a new solution, something that is new, worthwhile, to a problem, an everyday problem. It has a limited duration time, generally 20 years, and that is pretty much harmonized all over the world, including our Latin American countries. But yeah, the three requirements, the worldwide novelty is hard to overcome. I'm going to pass the word to Girish so I don't take all the time for myself.
Thank you, Giovanna. I think so my colleague has laid the foundation of different types of IP, which is basically trademarks, which is very important for SMEs, patents, copyrights, and there are other kinds of IP, basically trade secrets, and also GI. Now, coming to India, I just fastened up. In India, textiles have been for past 3,000 years. These prints have been found in Indus Valley. This was basically 2000 BC. So Indian prints have been famous for more than 2 to 3 million. And coming to the Indian market is one of the huge markets. You can know that as a consumer market and also as a supplier market. But talking about circular economy today, probably there has to be more sourcing done in Europe. But anyways, India offers good value for money, and also it should not only be looked from a consumer point of view, from the European SME side, that you have different avenues to market your product through e-commerce websites and stuff, but it's also a means to acquire raw material. This is one thing. Coming to per se IP, registration is mandated. If you want to preserve your rights and if you want to enforce your rights, registration is mandated. And with India being party to an international convention called the Madrid Agreement, you can file for the Indian trademark from Europe. You can directly file an online application in WIPO, and it's a pretty straightforward procedure. And within 7 to 8 months, you can have your trademark registered in India. And you have the duration of the trademark protection is for 10 years, and then you can renew it forever. This is one thing. And coming to industrial designs, as Giovanna mentioned, in Europe, per se, registration is not mandated for industrial designs, but in India, again, to enforce your rights, industrial designs, registration is mandated. And over here, you do not have this easy option of filing through WIPO or through an international platform or an institution. You have to file with the Indian Patent Office. So this is one thing all European SMEs should be aware of. Coming to patents, again, as mentioned, the novelty, and in patents you have another requirement called obvious. So the technical solution that you provide should not be very obvious. It has to be novel worldwide, and further it should not be obvious. And India per se has two other requirements which is not particularly seen in other countries. One is known as statement of working. So once you are granted a patent in India, you have to work your invention in India. So if you have a product, you have brought it to the, you have patented it in the Indian market. After 3 years, you have to file an application stating that this product of yours, or this patent which has been granted, has been deployed or is available on the Indian market, either through the product itself or you have licensed it to a third, through a collaborator or an implementer. And not doing so can be cause of revocation of the patent. So this is one thing that SMEs should be aware of. India also has an infamous provision called the compulsory licensing, which is very, for the current sector that we're talking about, for the fashion industry, per se it's not relevant, but for pharmaceuticals, there's a huge hue and cry in the West with respect to this particular point. Copyrights, again, I would get a 60-year post-death of the creator, you get a right for 60 years post-death of the creator, and any design, say if there is a print on a textile that you do, you can either have a design right or you can also claim a copyright. But in Indian provision, India has a specific legislation stating that if the design can be industrially produced for more than 50 units, then copyright protection won't be available. Then only design protection would be available, which is just for 10 years, plus an increment of 5 years. So if you're going for manufacturing the product, then there is no copyright protection, but only design protection. This is one thing to be aware of. And finally, I think so I'll end with this. This is something which is very unique to India and not available in Europe, which is basically protecting your designs or art. If it comes from a specific region, you can protect it through geographical indications. So in Europe, you have this right only for agricultural products. But in India, you also have for cloths, for handicraft works. And this was this one case where Christian Dior, as you see, copied this print, which is from this print basically created by artisans in a small village. So in India, GIs act as a community guide. So over here, what happened was Christian Dior copied this print, but then People Tree, which was an organization representing this community, they filed for a civil suit, but later on, Christian Dior kind of negotiated, and the case did not go forward. But then this is one right which is not available in Europe, and this is something which European SMEs can venture into or look forward. In the sense, even though there are some prints produced in local communities in Europe, this can be protected in India. I think so. I'll just end with this one particular slide, stating that, okay, enforcement is one of the issues. There are a lot of duplicates and counterfeits in India. So there are two primary avenues for European SMEs to resolve any infringement issue. One is the criminal way or the civil enforcement. If you want a quick remedy, criminal enforcement is perhaps the way to go, because you gather some evidence, be it from e-commerce platform if your product has been infringed or whatever, you gather some evidence, you directly go to the local police station, you produce the evidence that you have, and directly the courts have the authority to seize or search the place where the infringement is occurring. The civil enforcement is a little lengthier, where we go to the civil court, and the court basically appoints a person called the court commissioner, and he would assist in kind of getting a search and seizure order or an anti-pillar order, which are basically interim injunctions. So you can claim that. There are two basic avenues, but if you want faster remedies and no per se, you don't want to claim any damages, then criminal enforcement will be faster. So I'll just end with this. I think so. Just before ending, I would once again tell you that we are here to help you all, to provide free advisory, and again insist on you to answer those particular questions. One being what is the period of trademark protection, and whether protection is available in the handouts given. Please do answer them. Hand over my colleague from African.
Okay, well, before my presentation, I would like to introduce myself. So, my name is Mrs. Zakova. I represent the EUIPO, the EU Intellectual Property Office. And since last year, we have launched an IP SME Help Desk in Africa. We have a new funded African project that is in all 55 countries of the African continent. And we set up a helpline or help desk especially for this region of the world. I'm going to be short because I know that you're all very tired at this point, and it's very good that we have this technical problem because I was supposed to be the first one speaking, but it's good that the colleagues already provided you a good overview of the different IP rights. So what is the African SME Help Desk? So basically this is a European Union funded project that is implemented by the EUIPO, and it's a free of charge service that is mainly targeting the European SMEs that are thinking about expanding their activity on the African continent. We cover all IP rights, and basically this is the youngest IP help desk. We build on the success that is already achieved in Latin America, in Southeast Asia, China, India, etc. But we go by the same principle, and the principle is know before you go. So before any SME decides to invest in Africa, they're very much encouraged, and this is the main role of the help desk, the IP help desk, is not to teach IP matters. It's not to provide legal advice. This is something very important. If there's one thing to retain from this very short presentation, it's that we don't provide legal advice. We just provide information, we raise awareness on how important IP protection and enforcement is. As both EU and Africa have an interest in enhancing investment and trade. Our project participates, the overall project, I invite you to see the AfriFi project that this help is subscribed into, which is basically we support the free trade area agreement with Africa, the registration of geographical indications, the help for SMEs and for the public sector as well. So this is something that we don't have much time to talk about, but I encourage you, if you're interested, to go on our website or on social media. So, as I said, it's raising awareness, not providing legal advice. And how do we do that? We do it by providing a platform with information on IP landscape in Africa, country by country. So, if you go online to see the Africa IP SME Help Desk, you're going to see country fishes for each one of the African countries, which is with up-to-date information on IP. So the SMEs, the European SMEs that are planning to go to Africa and expand their activity there are encouraged to go through these country fishes. And if they have questions, then they can go to the helpline service, which is available by phone, by email, and also in some presential events that are more common after COVID. So basically, we provide feedback within 3 business days in 5 languages: English, Italian, French, Spanish, and German. we have a whole network of different lawyers that can actually be contacted and made available. So who can take advantage of the IPSM help desk in Africa? Many DSCs, of course, the business associations, but also it can be private lawyers, it can be policymakers, and the information on the website and all the resources that we provide can also be used for bilateral dialogue when it comes to IP. We have resources of providing so the training courses. It could be webinars, but it could be also one-on-one sessions that we can provide upon request from the interested public. So here, I guess that most of you already got the handout, the flyer on our help desk. So there you can see how you can contact us in case you have any questions as a business. And this is my very short presentation there. Thank you very much for listening to me at the end of the day. Enjoy your evening.